Right down the slot, it's Vince Dunn, and he scores.
Going back to last season, Pasternak. Now it's 61 goals in his last 83 games as his one-timer finds the back of the net. Through center and on the go. Ovechkin has it in neutral towards the empty cage. He scores again. Alex Ovechkin one closer to 800.
Who's the draw? Now it's a 3-on-2 for the Stars. Lindell carries up across ice. Glenn rip, and they score! Glenn Denning went to the net, redirects it. A short-handed goal makes it 4-1 Dallas. That will not make the coach happy.
What the puck is going on?
All right, welcome in to this Thursday edition of What the Puck is Going On. We hope you are having a good Thursday out there. If you are on the shorelines of Virginia here with us, then it was a beautiful day, and we hope that any of y'all viewers, listeners, got to enjoy that because that was nice. So we got an 8-game slate tonight, so some good opportunities in here this evening. The Capitals are in action tonight. A lot of teams from the Metro are. We got a pretty tight playoff race going on in the Metro. So a lot of these games are going to have some importance, and we'll get to that here. Oh, well, let's go ahead and get into it. First game here, the Florida Panthers are in Washington to play the Capitals. I believe these two teams last we looked are, 2 points. I believe the Capitals are 2 points ahead of the Florida Panthers. So you can imagine that this is a pretty big game for both of these teams. Washington at the moment is holding the second wild card spot. Pittsburgh is in the first wild card spot with 63 points. Capitals have 62. And then right behind them, the New York Islanders with 61. The Florida Panthers in action tonight versus the Caps. 60 points. Buffalo has re-entered the race. They have 58 points, so they're not far away either. And then next, there's only really about 4 teams behind Pittsburgh and Washington that probably have any real shot. Ottawa's in here with 55. They've been playing better. I've watched a couple of the games, and they are playing better, beating some pretty good teams. They're at 26 and 24 and 3 for 55 points. But here's Detroit at 25, 20, and 8. They have 58 points, so they're not very far off either. We talked a lot about that. And the little bit of a disappointment, didn't seem like things were going their way. And then all of a sudden, now they do have some work to do. We don't want to get too excited yet, but they have at least re-entered the playoff race, really with 58 points, with the next team being Washington with 62. That is not a lot of separation at all. We have seen much crazier things happen. So definitely a real possibility here that they're going on a stretch though. 3 games in the last 4 nights, so they had a set of back-to-backs, got a night off, and then playing again. So it's going to be hard to sustain the energy playing that many games. It can be pretty taxing on the players. So we'll keep an eye on that. But like we said, they've re-entered the race, so that's something to keep an eye on. So things are very, very tight here. So all these games are going to be pretty important, probably here to the rest of the way out, unless any of these 4 teams that are not in playoff position really start to falter. So something to keep an eye on, values to be had for sure. So let's go ahead and get into this one here. The Washington Capitals at home. My initial thoughts on this game are going to be the under, and I'll explain why. The Capitals have not scored more than 2 goals in their last, I believe, 4 or 5 games. The offense is really dried up there, and looks like the captain, Alex Ovechkin, is going to be out for a while. He did go back to Russia. It was the passing of his father. So he's going to take as much time as he needs. Us in the studio would like to send Ovi the best. We're thinking about you, and take as much time as you need. There are bigger things in hockey, and that is certainly one of them. But like I said, the Capitals have dried up on offense a bit, and we know these two teams are absolutely capable. You have the over under is 6.5, minus 105 for the over, minus 115 for the under. Caps are plus 100 on the money line, so they are the dog at home. I myself, with the superstitions and whatnot, I'm not going to do anything with that. But I am going to play the under, I believe, just for the simple fact that things have dried up in Washington a bit. And, if they can play a little bit more of a defensive style and hold the Panthers off, this very well could be another 3-2 type of game. Hopefully in the Capitals' favor, but we'll see at 7 p.m. this evening. So from what I just explained, that makes me want to take the over. But if we want to flip the script a little bit, and these are the two plays that I've been thinking about throughout the day on this one. If you want to go to the Capitals team total goals, over 2.5 at minus 175. That might be a play there. But if you think tonight, they can find their way, so to speak, over 3.5 is going to pay out plus 130. You got to imagine that the drought is not going to last forever. So maybe tonight, being at home, it was a tough loss last time out to the Carolina Hurricanes, in which they played well enough to win that game. But it's hockey, Carolina gets a few kind of funky bounces, and the puck finds its way into the back of the net. And there you go. They win the game 3-2. Some nights are like that. Like I said, Washington played a very good game. The defense looked pretty good. Goaltender, he was doing what he needed to do to keep that team in the game. Ultimately, they tied the game. Goal was disallowed due to goaltender interference, and they couldn't find another way to put it in and retie the game. So they go on to lose that. But that was a pretty spirited game, a very good game to watch, entertaining. They didn't get it done, but they absolutely played well enough to win that game. And if they can kind of recapture that form from the other night, even with it being a loss, I do believe that this is a winnable game for them, one that they really, really need to win. So maybe the efforts are come out, and we're gonna see a couple more. I gotta think with how things are going, they're gonna think, hopefully with a shoot first mentality, create rebounds, secondary chances to put one past the goalie. So if you're feeling a little like they can do that, maybe over 3.5, 4 goals at home is certainly not unspeakable. You'll get a plus 130 price out of that. Darcy Kemper is going to be back in goal tonight. His saves props, we've been looking at that a little bit. Over 29.5 is minus 120. Under 29.5 is minus 110, if you'd like to go that route. Or if you think Florida's going to come in and try and light it up, we can go with the goals against. At over 2.5 is minus 145. Under 2.5, you're going to get the plus 115 price. So there's a way to go about that. We'll look at some of these. I played last night for the Toronto Maple Leafs game. The first period outcome and the end of 60 minutes, and that ended up getting home. That was part of a winning ticket last night. So we're going to look to continue that. But this was one, kind of abstract way. Sometimes you need to take a look at different things. You don't want to overthink it too much, but sometimes it's nice to, maybe find a different way that you wouldn't have, otherwise thought of. So I did that last night. So the first period, if we think the Caps can come out and play a good first period and win the game, in regulation, you're going to get a plus 350 on that. That is something you could try if, you don't have a stake for either one of these teams. If you think Florida can come out and do the very same thing, you're going to get a plus 310 price on it. So you're getting a little bit less if you pick the Capitals, but we see what the book is kind of thinking on with that. But really, I think the pick from this game is going to be the under. It's at 6.5, minus 115. You find some dancing partners with that. I feel like that has a good chance to get home, kind of with the Capitals offense drying up. We'll take a look at the 60-minute line for the Washington Capitals. Is going to be plus 155 and plus 130 for the Panthers. So either way you go on that, you're going to get some plus money out of it. I think you'd probably be all right to pick either of those. So that's certainly in play as well. So let's just say that those are the better plays, with the under at 6.5 and a money line play for this one. All righty, moving along. We have the Montreal Canadiens at the Carolina Hurricanes. I think for this one, really, it's got to be the Hurricanes or nothing. Let's see if we can't find some here. The over-under is 6, minus 120 for the over, plus 100 for the under, plus 350 for the Montreal Canadiens if you think they can pull one off. But they are on the road. I gotta tell you, I really don't see that happening. Carolina Hurricanes are a good team, and you just kind of have to trust that. Even the Hurricanes on the 60-minute line is only minus 270. So let's take a look at the team total. It's going to have to be over 4, I'm sure. Yeah, see, over 4.5 goals at plus 115. So they're thinking, Carolina's going to light it up, which they have a pretty good chance of doing that against a banged-up Montreal team. I do believe they have a bunch of injuries. Let's take a quick look at that. I believe last I looked that they were pretty banged up. Yeah, they have a very, very long list of injuries. So I'm thinking, maybe over 4.5 is correct, the team total, if you just want to take a shot on that. But I think what I would do to get the real value, I would go with the Carolina Hurricanes to win the first period and the Carolina Hurricanes to win in regulation. You're going to get a plus 125 price from that. And if I have to play this game, which I don't know, we'll see, to really find the value, you're going to have to do something like that. You're going to have to go into a game parlay where it's all plus numbers. And even that is, not super at plus 125, but I think that's probably the more likely scenario in this game. If you think maybe the first period is a tie, but Hurricanes, I do believe will win in regulation. So let's just say the first period ties, but the Canes do win. You're going to get a plus 350 price if you want to take a little bit of a chance on that. But really, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this one unless you're really feeling you want to, a heavy underdog pick. I guess you could take Montreal, but I probably wouldn't myself. I think the first period and the 60-minute line is going to be your best play here at, like I said, plus 125. Other than that, you're going to have to really dig deep to find, anything for Carolina. And I don't see Montreal getting it done there in Carolina. So let's take a look at our next game. And that is going to be the Winnipeg Jets at the Columbus Blue Jackets. This is one Steve likes. He is thinking the puck line, you could probably even move that to 2.5 for the Jets. A 60-minute line is in play as well. We'll take a look at that. And yeah, you're getting minus 125 for the Jets in the 60-minute line. I don't hate that. I think that's pretty good too. And team totals. These are all things that Steve's talking about, and I got to say I like them. For the Winnipeg Jets, over 3.5 is -130. You could probably do that, but I like the better play of the 60-minute line in this one. For the -125, I would like to think that the Jets will go in there against a bad, Columbus Blue Jackets. That season is not gone. I'm certain the way that they would have wanted to. They picked up a couple players in the offseason, and I think they were feeling pretty good about it, and now probably not so much. So let's take a quick look at their injury report. Yeah, theirs is pretty long, too, with a couple big names on it. Gavrikov is out, defenseman for them. He'll probably be out next couple days. And the usual suspects that we have said on this one, Nyquist, Jake Bean, Carson Meyer, Jacob Voracek, Zach Werenski. These are all big names for them, and they're not coming back for quite some time. They may get Carson Meyer back within 10 days or so. These guys are all on the IR. This team's banged up. We'll take a quick look at Winnipeg. I do believe that they are rather healthy. So I would like to think, they can go on the road and get a win. Yeah, they have one guy, David Gustafson, a center for them. He's got an upper body injury. He's probably out for the next 10 days as well. But other than that, they're pretty healthy. So I think you could probably stick, with the Winnipeg Jets on the 60-minute line. I like that. If we want to find some value, we move the Jets. They're -1.5 is already a +130. But let's take a look at that. If we wanted to move that for 2.5 in favor of the Jets, we're going to get a +230 out of it. I like that even. I don't have much trust in this Columbus team. They play hard enough, but Winnipeg is the better team for sure, and they want to get their points. They're in a tight race out west too, so they're going to want to show up and get their points from this game. So I think the Jets puck line and the 60-minute line are nice here, and you could also play the team totals as well. I think this is another game where it's kind of, Winnipeg or nothing. Let's take a look, though. If we think, hey, maybe Columbus can get a few, over 2.5 for them is at -130. I probably would have liked that to been -115 or somewhere in that neighborhood to take the pick on that. So 3 goals for -130. It's not terrible either, but I definitely think the better plays are going to be the 60-minute line and the puck line. So you're going to find the most value out of the puck line. That's for sure. But I'm really gravitating towards the 60-minute line. I think that's about right. You find some dancing partners maybe with that. And the game we just talked about with Carolina in that parlay, then you might be building something there. So let's go on to the next one. We have the Boston Bruins are in Nashville to take on the Predators. Over under is 6. Over 6 +100. Under 6 -120. Boston is -180 on the money line. The Predators +155 on the money line. And let's take a look at this one. I think the 60-minute line is probably going to be, I think it's a 60-minute line type of night. Boston Bruins at -120. I do believe, yes, Steve likes the 60-minute line as well. He also likes the team totals. I think over 3.5 or -110 is pretty fair. Nashville, they don't give up the most goals, though. So I think that would be the one thing that would hold me up here on the totals. But it is Boston; they're certainly capable of getting there. So and they could do it, any given night. So that's not a bad play there either. But you know what? They don't score a lot, so the 60-minute line for Boston, I think, is very achievable as well. They are -1.5 on the puck line, and that's going to be at plus 135. Let's see what that would be if we wanted to move it just like we did for Winnipeg, which this is Boston, very, very strong team. So maybe this is the one you do that with. Leave Winnipeg at the -1.5. Boston Bruins -2.5 is going to be at a plus 255 price. I like that for that number there. I think that's certainly in play as well. So we're finding some values out of the puck lines tonight. I think for me, like I said, it's going to be a 60-minute line. I think Steve might take a bit of a shot tonight with some of these puck line plays, but I think he's going to pick a pretty good night to do it. There's some games on here that I think that's probably certainly, capable of. And there's one more thing that I want to look at here, and I want to look at the goalie props. Jeremy Swayman is in goal tonight for the Boston Bruins. His saves over under is going to be at 26.5. You're at -105 for the over, -125 for the under. Nashville's that team where we've been saying it. They don't let up a lot of goals, but they sure don't score a lot either. So, do they even get to that total? I don't know. That makes me kind of worried. But here's what I want to look at: the goals against for Swayman tonight. Under 2.5 goals at -140. I have a sneaky feeling about this game. This one is at 8:08 p.m. this evening. The goalie tandem in Boston is probably the best in the league right now, which is probably a pretty good reason of why they're at where they're at this point in the season. Do I think Nashville scores 3 goals tonight against Boston? I would be willing to take a chance here on Jeremy Swayman's under at 2.5 for the -140 price. I don't mind that at all. I think that might be the sneaky play, although that's kind of what they're thinking too with this number here. But for good reason. So I think a goalie prop could be snuck in here on this game. So you could try a goalie prop here. The 60-minute line I really, really like for that price. In a game that you could probably take a shot on the puck lines as well. So let's see here. We have – all right, next up, the Detroit Red Wings are in Calgary to take on the Flames. So we talked about Detroit at the beginning of the show of how they're going through this stretch here. They're a pretty big underdog. They've been playing a lot of games lately. Maybe low energy there in Detroit on the road. The over-under here is 6.5 at the over -115, the under 105. I don't know. I don't know if I would mess with any of that here in this game. Detroit is a plus 235 on the money line. Calgary -208. And let's see if we can't find some values in here. The 60-minute line, Calgary's at -160. I don't know. I think the 60-minute line is probably out for me on this one. I want a little bit better price than that. Here's something that I might take a look at, the first period. So you could go on the puck line here for the first period, and for the Flames to win the first period by 1 or more goals is at plus 115. And if we're if we're thinking Detroit is going to come in here and they have the low energy from playing so many games, then I don't see why Calgary couldn't come out and win the first period. I think they could even win it by 2, to be honest with you. The over-under for the first period is under 1.5 is at plus 120. Over is at minus 150. So they're thinking goals here in the first period. And so if that's going to be the case, why not play the first period puck line and get the plus price out of it? For me, this is a 9 p.m. game, so there's still time to get on that. There's still time to get in on all these games, but this one being a little bit later, you can kind of decide if you want to do something with it. But I myself are probably going to play that. I think that's, probably a pretty good pick. And I think Steve here, he has the Flames on the puck line. So minus 1.5 at plus 105. And let's move this line. We like to do that quite a bit. So let's go ahead and move it. The alt puck line, Calgary Flames, minus 2.5, plus 175. So the Flames to win by 3 or more at plus 175. And if you think they really blow it open on the Flames, minus 4.5. If they just blow it out, and they're going to have to win this by 5 or more goals. You don't see it very often, but that's at plus 675. That is a pretty big number for a reason, that's a tall task. That's a tough, that's a tough achievement. But I think the 2.5 could certainly be achievable. But I would probably leave this in a parlay at minus 1.5 and get the plus 105. But if we look at the team totals as well, the Flames at minus 3.5 is minus 160. You could probably play that here. But if you're going to do that, there's the over 4.5 at plus 145. So if you're thinking the Flames, score 5 goals, I think you'd be better to take a chance on that puck line, and go that way. Or this could be a 5-2 type of game. So maybe take the 1.5 or the 2.5, and then you have that total. So you could do that as well. Detroit, over 2.5 for them is minus 110. Over 3.5 at plus 220. I don't know. I think Steve's probably got the way on this game. The only real thing that I like is what I was talking about, the first period action. Other than that, I think the Steve's puck line and team totals might be a good play here. But if we're doing that, I think the Flames at minus 1.5 for the plus 105 price, take advantage of this tired Red Wings team. I think that's probably the best play coming out of this one. So we're moving right along here. We are in the 9 o'clock hour. We have 2 games left after this one. So we're at a good pace. We're moving right along. A lot of these games, they're probably going to be tight, but a lot of these are kind of really, short and sweet and right to the point here. Carolina or Montreal in Carolina, you can kind of figure that. Winnipeg playing the Blue Jackets, you can kind of figure that. Boston in Nashville, we talked about some good things in that one, but again, you can probably figure this game out as well. The Flames, probably a little bit better of a team than Detroit, and the Flames are at home tonight. Detroit is worn out. You can kind of figure that. So, and another one, and this gets, pretty much to my point as well. Our next game here, New Jersey at St. Louis. New Jersey's on the road, but another game that you can probably figure out, So let's take a look at this one. This is a 9 p.m. puck drop. The New Jersey Devils, the over-under is 6. Over -115, under -105. The Devils are -150 on the money line, which means we're going to get a nice 60-minute price, and we're going to get to that. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's looking like a 60-minute line night. The St. Louis Blues at home, the underdog, +130 on the money line. But, New Jersey, very, very good team. I think they're better than St. Louis. But look here, the New Jersey Devils +105 on the 60-minute line. You could sign me up for that all day long. I'm on it. The St. Louis Blues to win in the money line. You think they pull one out at home in regulation, +195. So plus money on the 60-minute lines again, either way you look at it. But I'm telling you, New Jersey on the 60-minute line, I'm taking the chance, +105. I really like that. You can even look at the team totals here. Maybe try and find another way in this one. Over 3.5 for the New Jersey Devils is at +105. I think that's also, probably pretty good as well. They're certainly capable of scoring 4 goals against this St. Louis team. So I think you have a couple ways here with the Devils anyway. I think the over 3.5 is in play. I really, really like the 60-minute line. But let's take it a step further here, and let's look at these game parlays that we've been kind of, diving into. And if we think New Jersey can go on the road, win the first period, and win the game in regulation, we're going to get a +255 price on that. I'm liking that. New Jersey, they're high flying. They're getting their points. They're winning on most nights. Playoff aspirations for them certainly, and they're looking pretty good to make that happen this year. So why not? Let's take a chance on a little bit bigger of a number and go with the Devils to win the first period and the Devils to win in regulation. We're getting a nice +255 off of that. I think that's probably pretty good. That's something that, this, like I said, is a 9 p.m. game. So that's something that I'm going to definitely check out here for sure. And if we're thinking that way, let's go back to the first period if we're going to take a chance on that. The Devils to win the first period by 1 or more goals is at +150. So you're getting another good plus money price there. The over-under is 1.5. The over at -145. The under at +115. So that's the thing is if they're thinking that 2 or more goals are going to be scored in the first period, why not take the chance on the better team and go minus, the 0.5 that it is and get the +150 price out of it? I think that's certainly one way to go about this game for sure. And, you can take a look at all kinds of things really for the Devils in this one. But again, I like the first period with this one, and I really, really like the 60-minute line for the +105 price. If you build you a nice, 3-4 leg parlay, you're going to find some pretty good numbers in these games tonight. Now, things can always hit the fan and blow back the other way, but you kind of just have to trust in that these better teams are going to do what you need them to do and what you think that they're going to do. And just kind of roll with it. Trust in them to get the job done on a night like this where, most of these games, besides, probably Florida and Washington, to be a better game than the rest. So we're thinking Devils here, a couple different ways to attack it. But I think for me, it's probably the Devils or nothing. So let's take a look here. And this is another game, Seattle is at home playing the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, Philly has been playing better, but Seattle, I believe, to be the better team at home. The over-under here is 6. For the over, you're getting plus 105. The under, you're going to get minus 125. Flyers on the money line at plus 165. The Seattle Kraken minus 195. And let's take a look. Let's take another look at the 60-minute line here. So the 60-minute line for the Seattle Kraken at minus 125. I don't hate that either. I'm telling you, I hate to keep saying it, but I really think it's a 60-minute line. I'm gonna build me something before these games get going. Minus 125 there on the 60-minute line. I really like that. Let's check out some team totals here. The Seattle Kraken at home, over 3.5 for minus 110, so you need them to get to 4 goals. I think they're capable of that, but I think there are probably some better plays. I think the team totals are a nice way to play each night. You don't have to worry about so much. You just need that team, to get a certain number. And you don't have to really worry about wins and losses and all that. But let's take another look here at the game parlays. So for the first period, Seattle Kraken, and then regulation win plus 210. So maybe not as high as the other ones. They might expect them to do that. And let's take a look at the Flyers injury report. I do believe they have a couple guys out. Yeah, they've got a couple big names out for them. About 5 guys on this list. Sean Couturier, he's still out. Cam Atkinson is out for them. Ryan Ellis. Those are going to be probably your bigger names. Zach McEwen, he's a center for them. He's got a jaw injury. He's out for quite some time. So some probably more familiar names for the Flyers. They're out. And let's check here on Seattle. They've got Andre Burakovsky. He is out. He is expected to be back soon. Chris Driedger, their goalie, he's out for a while till March. And Jonas Donskoy, right wing for them, he's got a concussion. He's out for quite a while. So those are some pretty big injuries there for Seattle too. So maybe let's look at the Flyers here. The Flyers team total goals over 2.5 at minus 105. So I think that could be a sneaky play as well. I think the 2 better plays that I think I would take a chance on would be the Flyers to get their goals. I think they could do it. They are on the road, West Coast, but I think that's for the value. I think that's probably a decent play there, taking a chance on the Flyers. Like we've said, they have been playing better. So maybe this is a 4-3 type of game. I could probably see that. In that case, your Flyers total gets home. So I wouldn't ride it probably any higher than that, but the Flyers for over 2.5 is a play. And the 60-minute line for the Seattle Kraken, also probably a pretty good play from this one. All right, so we got one left. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. And then, look, another game. The Vegas Golden Knights at home playing the San Jose Sharks. I mean, you got to figure now, things can always go the other way. But the Vegas Golden Knights at home against the Sharks, you got to think Vegas has a good opportunity here to win this game. The over-under is 6.5, minus 120 for the over, plus 100 for the under. This might be a game that you could play the over in. I always talk about the 6.5s that I don't like, but we're kind of leaning here towards that. This is going to be one of those type of games, giving for the price that it's at right now. But let's take a look at the 60-minute line. The San Jose Sharks plus 235. We figured that to be a big number. The Vegas Golden Knights, though, at minus 120. I don't hate that number, for a regulation win either, in a game that they probably should win this in regulation. So I think that number is appropriate. And again, I think the 60-minute line is in play here. It's looking like that kind of night with this menu of games here. Let's take a look at the team totals. San Jose for over 2.5 at minus 140. Again, this could be a 4-3, 5-3, somewhere in there if you want the Sharks. I would probably lay off of that, though. Although they have a suspicion that may happen. But for minus 140, I'd like to be that in the neighborhood of, minus 130, minus 125, something like that. But for the Vegas Golden Knights, over 3.5 at minus 140, over 4.5 at plus 165. So it's looking like the consensus is that Vegas is going to light it up tonight. And if that's the case, then I think the better play would be on the puck line. The Vegas Golden Knights at minus 1.5 is at plus 130. So let's go ahead and move that. You probably figured we were going to do that. The Vegas Golden Knights at minus 2.5 is at plus 225. I think that's certainly something that I would take a shot on. So I think the plays here have got to be. Well, no, they don't have to be, but I think the plays for me in this one, I would be comfortable moving this line here. Vegas minus 2.5 or Vegas on the 60-minute line. And let's see here. If we're thinking that also, you could go into these goalie props. I think there's a chance for this one here. If we're talking about, Vegas on the minus 2.5, then we might as well take a look here. Kaapo Kähkönen is the goaltender for the San Jose Sharks, and his number of goals against at over 3.5 is at plus 115. I think that could be a sneaky little prop tonight if we're thinking that Vegas is going to get to 4 or maybe even 5, which if you watch any of their games, their last couple games, they have gotten to that number. So if we're going to do that, let's find another way to get plus money, and I think it's right here at over 3.5 goals on Kähkönen at plus 105. So this is probably a Vegas heavy game for me, but I think there's opportunities in the puck line movement, 60-minute line, or that sneaky goalie prop. I think that's probably pretty good too. Let's take a look at one more thing here. We'll take a quick look at the futures. I'm sure that hasn't changed much. And then we'll get you out of here. We are definitely on track to get you out of here before puck drop. So let's take a look here at this first period end of regulation parlay. For the Vegas Golden Knights to win that, you're getting a plus 210 price. So again, maybe not as high as the other ones were, but I think that's probably in play too. If you want to boost your numbers up a little bit, Vegas to win the first period and then win in regulation, which we figured them to do against the San Jose Sharks. Your hang up here would maybe be the first period. That's usually the thing that makes me the most nervous about this. But when you have a game like last night, I myself kind of thought that Toronto had a very good opportunity to do that, and they did, and that checked the box of that winning ticket. So why not, take the Vegas Golden Knights, who are the much better team, sometimes they don't play very well at home, though. That's another hang-up. Other than that, though, I think they're okay in this one. So for that Vegas parlay, you can get plus 210. The goalie prop on Kakinen, I think, is a play. And the movement of that puck line, I think, is something you could take a chance on. And like I said, I think Steve is going to have himself maybe a puck line kind of night. That is to be determined. So I don't want to speak for him. But he did mention that he has a little bit of suspicions here on the puck line. So we'll be keeping an eye on that this evening. Maybe it is one of those nights. I think it's certainly got the capabilities of just kind of looking at some of these matchups. So also the Golden Knights on the 60-minute line is a fair play as well. So let's go ahead and look into these futures here. Like I said, I can't, believe that they would change too much. We'll go into the divisions. The Central Stars are still at minus 150. No, we're losing on the Jets here, where they had that bigger number. They have now moved to a plus 330. So if you're thinking anything with Winnipeg, I think that I would probably jump on sooner than later. If this continues to trend this way, then your prices for them are not going to be as good. Last week would have been a very good week to take them. They were getting a pretty good number. And, I think it's certainly they're capable of winning this division. So we missed the train on that a little bit, but still at a plus 330, you're okay with. Colorado plus 350 and Minnesota at 22-1. Other than that, I don't think those other teams there at the bottom, Nashville, Chicago, Arizona, and St. Louis, really have any kind of chance with that. So we don't expect that, so we won't take a look at those. In the Metro, the Carolina Hurricanes minus 310. The Devils are getting a plus 330 price. The Rangers, you know what? I still like the Rangers as a sneaky pick. They're man, I tell you what, I think they are a team to watch out for. I think that they have the possibility of making a pretty deep run. Maybe we see a Boston Bruins, New York Ranger Eastern Conference final. I think that's certainly a possibility. But we're getting a 12-1 price here on the Rangers to win the division. Now, they got quite a bit of work to do that. But I think it's a possibility. I think that's going to be probably your best number. The Devils and the Rangers, if we're thinking somebody other than Carolina, if I'm putting my money down, I'm taking the 12-1 shot with the Rangers. I'm just saying that. The Pacific Division, we're getting all kinds of plus prices here. Vegas at plus 250, the Kraken at plus 260, Edmonton at plus 260, and LA at plus 475. Again, if I'm going to put my money down on some futures here, I think Edmonton has a very real shot to win this division. We talked about being a little disappointed in them, but they're right there in the thick of it for the Pacific. So I think for the plus 260 price, I think Edmonton would probably be your better shot here. At least that's kind of what I'm thinking in the terms of the way they've been playing. I think they may make a little noise at the trade deadline as well, trying to add just a couple more pieces to really solidify and make a deep run there in the West. I would expect them to do it. Some sources around the league expect them to do it as well. So, and if they do that, you can imagine that should help their cause a little bit. So I think Edmonton coming out of the Pacific would probably be your better play. Vegas is at plus 250, like we said. That's a possibility, but I'm going to stick here with Edmonton. And in the Atlantic, I don't think we really have to go over that. Boston's got pretty much a stranglehold on that. Toronto and the Tampa Bay Lightning are at 30-1 odds for that, if that really kind of tells you anything about that division. We haven't spent a lot of time on that. I don't think there's really any need to. The conference winners, we'll take a look here real quick. The Boston Bruins at plus 300, I think is probably pretty fair. The Canes are getting a plus 400 price. The Leafs plus 600. The Lightning plus 600. Here's the Rangers, though, if we're thinking Boston and New York. They're at plus 700, so getting a pretty decent price on them. The Devils at plus 900. We'll see. We'll see what the Devils can do. Yeah, they're pretty good, but I don't know. We'll see what happens here. We got a ticket in here. All right, so we got that from Steve. We got his picks, the Flames, Bruins, Jets. Wanted to make sure that I get those in. So let's take a quick look at the Western. We got the Colorado Avalanche at plus 300, which I really don't love. The Vegas Golden Knights at plus 500. Edmonton at plus 500. The Stars at plus 600. The Wild at plus 950. Now, here's the crazy thing to me. The Wild are getting a better number than the Jets. The Jets are at 12-1 to win the Western Conference, and I think the Jets are a better team than the Minnesota Wild. So those numbers, to me, in my mind, should be, flip-flopped. Plus 950 for the Wild, plus 12-1 for the Jets. Like I said, that's got to be flopped. I don't know why those numbers would be the way they are, but they are. So, and then here we round it out with Seattle at also a plus 12-1 price. If you think maybe the Kings for your dark horse, you're going to get 15-1 out of that. Hey, you never know. But I think the Edmonton at plus 500 and the plus 300 for their division are probably the better plays. All right, so you know what? That's going to do it for us. I think we found some pretty good angles. I kind of figured it was going to be that way. We're pretty heavy on a couple teams, but that's just the way the menu is, how these games are scheduled this evening. So we'll see what happens with some of these picks. And that's going to do it for What the Puck is going on this week. You can catch the Friday Soccer Paycheck here at Deep End Broadcasting. That'll be your content for tomorrow. As for us, What the Puck is going on, we are done. And we will see you on Monday, 6 p.m. to dive right back into it. And then we will take another look at the standings and see if there's been any kind of movement there. All right, well, everybody, enjoy this nice weather while we have it. If you have any tickets for this evening or any possible tickets, good luck on those, and we'll see you on Monday. Have a good evening.